So today I'm going to be going majorly outside of my comfort zone. I've been really wanting to recreate a makeup look that is very much unlike my own style for a while. So I was trying to think of whose makeup look or makeup style or makeup tutorial I could recreate that would achieve that. And so I was kind of going through a lot of like the very popular celebrity makeup artists, especially the Kardashian celebrity makeup artists, because I feel like the Kardashian makeup style in general is very much unlike my own. So I thought it was a good place to start. And so then I thought of Hrush, who I thought was perfect because she is a celebrity makeup artist. She does that kind of very full glam type of look on her clients. And she also just started a YouTube channel. So she has demonstrated a lot of her techniques and what she does on her clients on her channel. So I thought it would be perfect opportunity to recreate one of her looks. So recently she uploaded a video featuring Kristen Dominique. She did her makeup on her and it was absolutely gorgeous. The look itself is very, very focused on the skin. She does do a gorgeous eye look, but I feel like the skin is really the star of this tutorial. And a lot of the techniques that she was using are techniques that I personally never tried before. So I'm really, really excited to try them out. And it's also, again, like a skin look that I don't normally go for. You guys know I'm very into more of like a natural, minimal, simple makeup look. So it's always fun to try new things, new techniques, especially since it's not something that I normally do. So I'm very, very excited. I hope that you guys are going to enjoy today's video, enjoy watching me try out this tutorial. Hopefully it goes well. Let me know in the comments if there are any other celebrity makeup artists or even other YouTubers that you like to see me recreate one of their tutorials. All right, that's all I gotta say. Let's zoom in and start. Quick little disclaimer before I start. I'm gonna try my best to use as many of the products that she uses in her video in my tutorial today so that we can get as similar of a result as possible. But there are also some products that I just don't have. So I'm gonna use the next best thing that I have in my collection. Hrush also uses face tapes right at the beginning of the tutorial. If you don't know what face tapes are, they're pretty much little tapes that you put on your temples to pull your face or your eyes back to create a more like snatched, elongated type of look. I don't have face tapes, so we're going to skip that today. Okay, so the first thing that she mentioned that she applied is a glow product on the body. Now I'm pretty sure she used like a Patrick's Tuss spray. I don't have the spray, but I do have the glow oil, which is a beautiful product. So I am going to apply this on my chest area today to give it a nice little glow. By the way, I burn myself with a curling iron like 6 different places, including my shoulder and on my forehead. So if you're wondering what those marks are, it's just me being an idiot with a curling iron. So I'm gonna take this little brush from Huda Beauty. It's the Body Blur and Glow brush. You know what? I think I'm just gonna spray it directly on my chest. The Patrick Tuss Glow Oil, by the way, smells like actual heaven and almost smells like marshmallows and a little florally. It's gorgeous. Who knew just looking a little bit damp could just make you look so nice. Okay, step 1 complete. Nice and glowy. Definitely love that.
I'm actually gonna start with her eyebrows. For a golden tone, like when I wanna do someone's makeup bronzy, I like to almost hit their eyebrow with a red undertone because I like to glaze it in the end. And I'm going to just start building at her arch very lightly.
Safe to say that's a tip that I've never heard before, but that actually makes a lot of sense because if you have more of a warm tone going on your face, especially on your brows, it is definitely gonna like warm up your complexion a little bit. So she first goes in with a powder. I'm pretty sure she's using an Anastasia brow powder here. I don't have Auburn from Anastasia, but I do have this brow powder from Benefit in number 4. And this shade over here is definitely very, very warm, and it's a lot warmer than I would normally even go with my own brows. And what she does is she first fills in the top and the bottom with the powder just to get the shape down. This color is so warm, it's like really throwing me off. Okay, then she goes in with the Benefit Precisely My Brow Pencil and she uses the shade 4.5. I also have the shade 4.5 here. I actually normally use 4. So again, a little bit different than what I normally do. And she'll just fill in the rest of the brow using this. And then I'm gonna brush everything out with a spoolie to make sure that it's nice and blended. She also mentions that if you darken the lower part of your brow, it's going to make your eye look lower, but if you darken the upper part of your brow, it's going to make your eye look higher. So I'm just going to try that and just darken up the upper edge of my brow. See if that works.
I'm mixing colors 1 and 2 from RCMA to do this. You don't I always see people swipe all across, do it in sections, it comes out neater.
So Hrush uses the RCMA cream. I do actually have an RCMA little palette here. This is the KA palette. She mentions that she doesn't like to go too light with this. She likes to more so match the rest of the face rather than just highlight the brow with a completely different shade from the rest of the face. So I think I'm gonna go in with the middle shade over here and see what that looks like. And I'm just using a flat synthetic brush to apply this. She also mentions to work in sections. So not to just swipe and to be more precise with it and take your time. I think that's honestly my biggest problem with makeup is that I'm so impatient and I like to get things done quickly. And I really rarely take my time when I apply my makeup.
I'm gonna use the La Mer Cool Gel Cream. I don't know why it works better on dry skin. It makes it more slippery than the cream. You guys see how much moisture her skin is holding right now?
So we're finally starting on the face. Now Hrush uses a La Mer Gel moisturizer. This seems to be a very important step in the routine. However, I don't have the La Mer cream, but I am going to be using another gel formulated moisturizer. I'm just going to use my Laneige Hydro Gel. It's a really good one and I think it's going to work fine. So I'm just going to take a nice amount of this and really massage it into my face. So the next portion of today's video is sponsored by Lancome. I am going to be using the Tainty Dell Ultra Wear foundation. You guys know I love this foundation, especially for more of a full coverage look. Hrush is definitely giving Kristen a very full coverage glam look, but she makes it look really nice and kind of natural and seamless. And she does have a very specific technique that I'm really excited to try out with the Lancome foundation. This foundation already does look quite natural, especially considering the coverage that it has. It's a very thin and lightweight foundation, but it has a lot of coverage. So because of that, you just need such a small amount and it's going to give you that full-on effect, but it's not going to look heavy or cakey, which is exactly what you want for that full coverage look. This foundation does come in 45 different shades. Today, I'm going to be using 360 Bisque Neutral, which is my typical shade. It matches me pretty perfectly. So I'm really, really excited to try this technique with this product. What Hrush does is she takes her moisturizer. So I'm going to take my moisturizer and a brush. She dips her brush into the moisturizer, picks up a little bit of it, kind of works the moisturizer into the brush on the back of her hand, and takes that damp, moisturized brush and mixes it with the foundation. And this is supposed to help create an even more seamless look. I feel like this is gonna be really great, especially if you do have dry skin. And I'm just gonna go ahead and apply. I'm actually gonna put a little bit more foundation on my brush. Again, please disregard the scab that's on my forehead. It's gonna be very difficult to cover that up because it's pretty intense texture. Okay, love this technique. Love the way that applied. I feel like my skin really does look like skin. I feel like with the addition of the moisturizer, it makes the foundation look even more skin-like. I feel like this looks just as natural as a tinted moisturizer, but it's completely full coverage. Everything is covered flawlessly. This is stunning. Whew, I love that.
We are gonna go into NARS Biscuit and Honey. I'm gonna deposit both of them on the back of my hand. Now the reason why I am using Biscuit is because we are doing a golden bronzy look and I don't need her under eyes to be crazy bright.
So next, Hrush uses the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer, and she actually uses 2 shades. She mixes them together in order to create a shade that's as close to the skin tone as possible. She mentions that because this is more of a bronzy look, she doesn't like to go super highlighted underneath the eyes. So because I obviously have a different skin tone than Kristen, I'm not going to use the same shade that she's using. So instead, I will be using these 2 shades, which will create the perfect skin tone shade for me. So this is the shade Medium 2 and Light 2.8. Just gonna mix the 2 of these together. I also noticed that when she applies the concealer, she doesn't blend it out right away. She kind of just lets it sit for a little bit and lets the concealer dry, and then she'll blend it out. So I'm gonna do the same. I'm using this Fenty Beauty 240 brush. It's actually an eyeshadow brush. So that sat on my skin for probably about a minute. So now I'm just gonna take another clean brush and just gently pat that out. Then she does go into a lighter shade and she uses that to highlight. So I'm gonna take the shade at 2.75. She puts that on the side of the nose. Also a little bit underneath the eyes. And also uses it to highlight. So I'm gonna put it down the center of my nose onto the forehead.
I'm gonna let that under eye sit for 1 second. This is what I do, like literally 3 colors. I can't pick between one. I'm going to blend it into the foundation, and whatever's left of that is what I will lightly blend in.
So she lets that sit for a second and then she goes in to apply kind of like a bronzer shade on the perimeters of the face, but she actually uses another foundation shade. Now I don't unfortunately have a cream foundation that's dark enough, so instead I'm going to just use my cream bronzer from Tom Ford. Hrush does something though that I really like. She'll take some of the leftover foundation moisturizer mixture and then she'll go into the more bronzy shade. And by mixing in a little bit of that foundation, it's just going to kind of help really melt everything into the skin and make it look really, really, really natural. I'm also gonna put some on my jawline and down my neck a little bit.
I don't like to use a clean beauty blender directly on the face. So I'm going to pick up some foundation and I'm now going to blend it.
Another very interesting tip, she said that she never likes to use a clean beauty blender on the face. Instead, she'll go in with a little bit more of the foundation and use that to blend out the concealer. Again, I think that makes a lot of sense. It will definitely make the face look more uniform rather than have like 7 different blocks of color all around the face, you know? Like it'll just make it look a little bit more seamless. Like even though I'm definitely wearing a lot more product than I normally wear, I still feel like everything looks and feels pretty lightweight, which is key for me.
Don't ever swipe up, just swiping down. And that way you don't need to waste your time blending 100 hours. We are going to do her chin. Okay, so turn that way. We are gonna hit that and clavicle and bring it down.
So we did already apply the bronzer. I thought we were done with that, but I guess not. I think that was more so just to give an overall warmth to the skin, but now it's time to contour and to sculpt. So I'm gonna go back into my Tom Ford bronzer. I'm going directly into this. I'm not putting any foundation onto my brush. And now I have it here, and she says to just swipe down. Never swipe up, she says. In her tutorial, she literally just swipes it and it's like already blended. I think honestly it has to do with the brush that she used. I don't have that brush, so I think I'm gonna have to go into blend since I don't have that fancy brush. Whew. Ooh, she also puts it right over here where that like bone kind of sticks out. I've never done that before. Fun. Ooh, does my neck look defined now? And she also puts it on her clavicle, so like right over here. So I'm just gonna very lightly just kind of pat it out. I'm using my beauty blender because I don't wanna move the contour. Wow, my cheekbones look so good.
So I'm actually going to begin from right here. And because I want your eyebrows to look natural, you see like that straight cut line. This contour is gonna help break it apart and make it look believable that those are your real eyebrows.
So next up, she does the nose contour. Very excited to try this because I've also never tried this technique before. So I'm gonna grab a little bit more of that cream bronzer. I'm using this Marc Jacobs, the conceal brush. I like this because it has a little bit of an angle. So it's somewhat similar to the brush that she's using in this video. And what she does, which is very interesting, she actually almost lines the underneath of the brow with the bronzer and kind of like cuts it and goes towards the nose like that. Then she brings it down the nose in 2 very thin parallel lines. And she also lines the upper lip with the bronzer to make it look poutier. This is a trick that I do every once in a while myself. It kind of makes it look like you have a dirty brown mustache for a sec, but like once it's blended out properly, it actually makes your lips look so much more pouty. Okay, then just taking the Beauty Blender and very lightly blending the lines so that they are not so liney anymore.
Now I'll go in with the Makeup Forever powder. That is way too much that I just put on the brush, like literally. I'm gonna let that ride for a moment.
So for underneath the eyes, she does set it with a little bit of loose Makeup Forever setting powder. I don't have the loose version of that powder, but I do have the pressed version, so that's what we're gonna be using today. I'm just gonna take a little bit of this and really work it into the under eye area. This is a powder that you need to be very careful with because if you don't blend it properly, it's going to give you a white cast. So next she uses a little bit of powder to set right on the bridge of the nose. She uses a La Mer powder, which I don't have, so I am just gonna use my RCMA No Color powder. She kind of uses like a really small brush just to bring that down the bridge of the nose. Tap, 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 she says. So I'm tap, 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 tapping. And she uses the Laura Mercier Translucent Glow Powder. So this is a powder that does have a little bit of like a slight shimmery glow to it. And I'm going to take that on a fluffy brush, and she uses this on her forehead. So I'm just taking a little bit, really working it into the brush and then tapping off the excess. And then just lightly, like I'm barely even touching my face right now, just like dusting that on the forehead like what she did. I just tried to open up my phone and my Face ID did not recognize me. That's when you know.
I am going to use Makeup Forever, the tone 163 in their pressed powder. Very lightly buff it into underneath her contour.
We're going with yet another powder, and before I continue, I just want to say you guys know this is kind of my worst nightmare because I hate powder so much. But even though I have 6 different powders on my skin right now, my face doesn't look cakey. How? I don't know. So now she goes in with a tinted powder. She uses the Makeup Forever tinted powder. Don't have that, so instead I'm gonna use this NARS one. This is the NARS Soft Velvet Pressed Powder in the shade Desert, which is a pretty good match for my skin. And she uses that for underneath the contour. And then instead of using an actual bronzer, she uses a face powder to kind of set the contour bronze area. So she uses, I think, a darker Makeup Forever HD powder. Don't have that, so instead I'm gonna use my Rimmel face powder in 21 Nude. And just pat, 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 as she says, right in those cheekbones. There's so much powder on my face, it's horrifying. Doing the same thing with the nose with the same Rimmel powder. Just to set, and I guess intensify slightly.
So the color I am going to opt for is this one and this one. I want to make her look peachy, and I want to glaze her a little bit over the peach. And I might even go a little bit with that just to like warm her up because we're going for a more tanned effect. Probably use this as the backdrop.
So she uses 3 blushes, which is a lot. She uses a bronze, a peach, and an orange shade. She says she uses the orange shade to kind of give that like bronzy effect to really warm up the face. So we're gonna go in first with the orange. She says she uses this as kind of like the backdrop for the blush look. This is my Sephora Collection blush in Hot Flush. Picked it up on my Fenty Beauty 195. And I'm just going to do what she's doing. So she's swirling, swirling, swirling right on the apples. And then kind of like bringing it back a little bit. Swirling, 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 and like bringing it back. Ooh. Vivi intense. I'm like barely touching my skin right now and I'm getting the most color on my face. I look crazy. Just gonna go in with a little bit of my foundation brush and kind of just go over that. That's my own little trick to calm down blush that got a little bit too intense, and that definitely got a little bit too intense. Got ahead of myself there.
So the thing about blush, I actually like using it all over the face. See how much more vibrant it looks?
She's also bringing the color on the temple. She says she likes to use blush all over the face, which I agree, it kind of brings everything together. Then she goes in with like the peachy pink, so I'm gonna use NARS Torrid, and she puts that just right on the apple of the cheek. cute. Honestly, I kind of love that. So then she moves on to the eyes. I'm actually not going to do the eye look just because I really want to focus on the skin in this tutorial. So instead I'm going to skip to the lips and I'll do my own eye look a little bit later. So she lines the lips. Doesn't really seem like she does anything too crazy. So I'm just taking MAC Boldly Bare. She uses two different lip liners. So I'm going with Boldly Bare and then I'm going to go into my Pat McGrath contour. So she says that she only puts gloss right in the center of the lips, so I'm gonna do the same. I don't think she put a highlighter on the cheekbone, which honestly, I'm fine with that. I feel like this look looks fine without a highlighter on the cheekbone, but she does put some highlighter on the body, which honestly I'm just gonna skip because the body's just like whatever at this point. We don't really need to focus so much on it.
Like you can use these as an under eye brightener. So let's just use the Café con Leche, and I'm only gonna pat it right there.
So one of the last things that she does for the face is she brightens up the under eye with actually an eyeshadow from Kristen's new Latte 2 palette. It kind of just looked like a very light beigey eyeshadow, so I don't have that, but I am gonna take this powder. This is actually a face powder from Nabla. It's the close-up powder in light. So it just looked like she put a little bit of that just right underneath the eye to kind of brighten it up. Now I feel like I look a little bit powdery. I am personally gonna use a face spray because I feel like it is going to help the look a little bit. So I'm gonna take the Youth to the People Adaptogen Soothe and Hydrate Mist. Okay. And now that we have everything applied, I'm just gonna go ahead, apply some lashes to my eyes just to finish them off because it looks a little bit crazy to have a fully done face and nothing on the eyes, and then I'll be back to show you guys the finished look. This is the Finish Hrush foundation routine. It was definitely very intense, more steps than I probably have ever applied to my face. Pretty surprised with how not heavy everything looks, especially considering how many powders and, you know, layers of creams that I have going on my face. I mean, don't get me wrong, it looks like I'm wearing makeup, but it doesn't look incredibly overdone, which I'm pretty shocked by, really not what I expected. This is definitely the longest I've ever sat and done my base makeup. I've been sitting here for 2 hours and I haven't even touched my eyes yet, which is kind of insane. I really do feel like every single step that Hrush puts into her routine really does have a purpose, and it's not like she's just piling on makeup just for the sake of piling on makeup. I think this kind of makeup routine makes sense, especially considering she is a celebrity makeup artist. Clearly all of her makeup looks are, you know, meant to be in front of a camera or on a red carpet, so they're obviously going to be heavier than like the typical natural everyday look. And even though this isn't necessarily my personal style of makeup, I still think it's absolutely gorgeous. I love it. And if I have an event, I am totally gonna be recreating this routine. I'll give myself 6 hours, but I will be recreating this routine because it really does look so flawless in person. I don't know how it's gonna look on camera because my little screen is so small, but I feel like on camera it's probably gonna look pretty freaking flawless too. If I were to take one thing out of this look and incorporate it into my own personal routine, I think it would be this blush. It's just so gorgeous, and it really does warm up the skin, especially when you are going for a more bronzy look. I think it's super gorgeous, and it's not really something that I would typically do. Also, doing that moisturizer technique by putting it onto the brush before applying the foundation, that's like such a genius technique that I will definitely be doing again. And I also may not be so scared of powder anymore. I think each powder that was used today was used for a very specific reason, and I think that it really made a big difference in the finished look. It definitely made things look a little bit more flawless and even a little bit more smooth. Let me know down below in the comments what you think of this makeup look. You guys have seen me in a lot of different types of looks, so how does this compare? Let me know if you would ever try it, and if you do end up trying out this look, tag me on Instagram or Twitter. I always love seeing what you guys do and recreate. It always makes me really happy. Of course, hit the thumbs up button and subscribe if you're not subscribed already, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.